Harcourt, and I'm here with Justin Castelli. First of all, man, it's really nice to meet you. Thanks for hanging out.
Great to meet you as well. And then I've been looking forward to this all day.
Good, good, good. Well, let me just give a little bit of background for some people who perhaps don't know you. You're a financial advisor, founder of RLS Wealth Management, which you started, what, 5 years ago now?
Yeah, just a little over 5 years.
And you also have a very successful blog all about your Benjamins, where you communicate with your clients and others looking to educate themselves about financial planning. So that's all great, money, finances, and all that kind of stuff. But I want to know a little bit more about who you are and what drives you. I mean, when you think about when you were a kid and you were looking forward to, being an adult, what did you think you wanted to do? Did you know when you were a kid what your path was going to be?
No, when I was a kid, I was going to be a basketball player. So I'm in Indiana, and for those of you not familiar with Indiana, for most of my life, basketball was king in Indiana. It's since changed a little bit, but growing up, everybody played basketball. I started playing basketball on like little tyke hoops when I was 2. I played all the way up through college. So I always wanted to go to the NBA. And then as I got closer to college, I realized, well, I'm not an NBA caliber athlete, but maybe I could go play over in Europe. And realized a couple years in the college ball that probably wouldn't happen. So to be honest with you, there was never really a plan B. Like I was going to be a basketball player, and then I figured like something business would come along. So I didn't really discover finance until I was in college, and really didn't discover being a financial advisor until after I had graduated. My wife was finishing up through the summer semester. So I kind of networked around with some business people and ultimately found this profession as a financial advisor and realized the idea of solving problems, helping people, being in control of my destiny, I really liked. And that was what led me here. So even going into college, I had no idea that I'd be sitting here today doing what I'm doing.
So what do you think differentiates you in your business? If you look around at your business, and there's a lot of financial advisors, obviously, or people who say they'll give you advice.
Right.
They'll take your money. But what differentiates you in your business?
Well, we look at the landscape of financial advisors. One thing that differentiates me is I'm young, although I'm realizing that I'm getting older. So I'm 38, which I know is young, but in the world of finance, most advisors are older, mid to late 60s, kind of on the tail end of their careers. And so I'm young, but I think what really differentiates me when I think about even my younger peers is I look at finance and I'm trying to find ways to kind of rock the boat. Finance is such a old school business. The relationships are built on old school type of relationships. The business models are old, and I want to shake it up. So I really look to other industries and try to steal from them to bring into personal finance. So I really like to look at like the tech world. What are they doing from a client relationship business model? How are they marketing themselves? And how can I do that within finance to kind of change the messaging, maybe help other advisors do the same thing, so that instead of being looked at as a profession full of people who might give you advice but are going to take your money, it's a profession full of people who really want to help people and are telling that story. So I think the biggest thing is I view myself as forward looking. I'm not afraid to take risks, and I really want to shake things up. I don't want the world of finance to be like it's been the last 20 years for the next 20 years.
So when you say that you look at other businesses, you said the tech world. Can you give me an example of something that you've found in another business that you've adapted to your own business?
Yeah, I look at like in technology, one thing would be they leverage scalability to be able to bring products to people who maybe haven't had access to it in the past. So stereotypically, most financial advisors are not going to work with you unless you have a certain net worth. You got to have enough money for me to work with you as an advisor. But there's far more people who need help that don't meet that criteria. So through building a scalable relationship model that leverages technology, like a tech company would be, I've built relationships that can work with people that are early on in their career. That gives them little guidance. It's all self-directed, and we manage the investments. To it's more of a subscription model. Again, scaled down version of the higher end, but it allows me to offer quality advice to people who want it. They just don't have the net worth of the assets yet. So it's using scalability. And then the other way is, I think through marketing and storytelling. There is a newer tech company called Fast, which is kind of a one-stop shipping or one-click shipping type of platform. And in the last month, they've done a phenomenal job leveraging social media, storytelling, brand building to blow their business up in a positive way. And for the long time in finance, you never were really allowed to express yourself. You had to wear a suit, you had to be conservative, and you couldn't be you. And when I started my own firm, that was one of the first things I shook. Got rid of the suits, started wearing more comfortable clothes. I have tattoos like you do. You can't see them all, they're covered up right now, but I don't cover them up anymore. I love hip hop. That's a part of who I am, and you know that. I mean, my blog, I don't know if you picked up on it, but the blog, All About Your Benjamins, is a play off of All About the Benjamins, the Puff Daddy song. That was a very popular song when I was growing up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I made a play off of that. So if you go to my blog, every once in a while, I'll sprinkle in a rap video at the end of the post that I think plays into the theme of the post. And that's not something that I would have been able to do in the past. And it's not something most advisors do. But when you look at tech world or direct to consumer brands, they bring personality to their marketing. They build brands by, having personalities and having people, and ultimately people work with people that they like. So that's the type of stuff I pull from them.
Okay, so you talked about including some videos in your blogs, and I know we're going to talk about music, so let's dig in. Hip hop is your thing, right?
Yes.
Tell us when that came into your life, the first time you heard it, how it made you feel.
So for as long as I can remember, I have loved hip hop and rap. And I'll caveat that with, I like all music. If you go through my my iTunes, I've got country, I've got hip hop, I've got like rock. Like I like it all. I love music. If I could be anything else, I would love to be a music producer. Like I would love to make beats and stuff. So I love music in general. But hip hop, I remember it as long as I can remember being able to choose listening to music, liking that type of music. And I think it goes back even further. I remember being little and going down on the weekends and getting the record player out and listening to like Michael Jackson. My dad liked the Temptations. So even though that wasn't rap, there was more of an influence from that era that kind of carries into hip hop. And then, I think like MC Hammer was my first introduction to rap, if you will.
Yeah.
But then from there it went on.
Sure.
And I'll never forget, like one of my favorite music stories is, I'm sure you remember like Columbia House, where you would mail in and get the tapes that would get mailed in.
Yeah.
So we were members of Columbia House, and I convinced my parents to get me the Digital Underground tape that had the Humpty Dance song on it, not knowing anything about it. And that was before parental advisory was a big deal. Like the notification on it was real small. So this tape comes, it's called Sex Packets. So here I am, I can't remember, like first or second grade, maybe. I get this album, and there's two, the A side is called the safe side. The B side is called the sex side. So my parents like listened to a little bit and they said, okay, you can listen to the A side, but you can't listen to the B side. And at the time I had one of those Walkmans that had a little lever that you would push and it would flip sides. So I didn't have to like flip the tape around. I could do it without my parents ever knowing. And I was listening to the sex side, getting an education I didn't need at that age. But that's one of my favorite stories is that tape. And I just remember that. But when it comes to hip hop, it's just something about like the beats and the music. I joke with my wife, it speaks to me. I just love the way that the music moves and it translates into me. And I think a lot of what made me love it is like that style of music plays into basketball, just from like the movements, and it ties in. Like if you're going to watch a basketball highlight, it makes sense to have some type of hip hop music, not have country. It doesn't flow together. But the game of basketball and the game in hip hop kind of go together with the beats and the movement. So I just love it. I thought by now I would have grown out of it, but I'm still listening to the stuff I grew up on, the people who are, maybe the last 10 years. And then I have 3 boys. So we listen to some of the newer stuff. So I'm still deep into the hip hop game.
Do you DJ at all? I mean, not just in the house or anything, but have you been out and played music?
I've DJ'd in the sense I used to put together mixes all the time. Like in college, I would make mixtapes all the time. Yeah. But I've never actually like run through a list. I would love to learn how to mix on the table, and like that might be like a retirement thing for me. When I get done working, get some turntables and learn how to actually DJ, and like that could be a retirement crew. The old guy who comes in all tatted up, mixing at like high school dances and stuff. I think it'd be kind of fun.
You can do all that in the box now as well. I mean, there's like programs for you to scratch. I mean, you can do it all.
I feel like that's cheating though. I feel like if I'm going to go down, I want to learn the art of actually
do the real thing.
Yeah.
You're clearly a guy who looks forward,
Mm-hmm.
and uses technology and is constantly looking for ways to improve what you do with it. Is there anything you miss? Do you have any nostalgia for any part of the business that when you first got into it, perhaps?
No, I think in our business, the technology has made it better. I can communicate with my clients better. I can serve them better. Um, I don't really miss. There's nothing nostalgic when it comes to the business. The things I miss because of technology are outside of finance. Like I miss. As silly as it is, I miss CDs. I miss making those mix CDs. Like I make my mixes on iTunes and Spotify, but I miss CDs. I used to go back in the day. It was new music on Tuesdays. So I would go from school to Best Buy every Tuesday to see what albums dropped. And I always remember whenever I would buy one, I'd go straight to my car, open it up, and the first thing I would do is put it in the CD player, and then I would go through the book before I left and look at each song and see who produced this song and kind of
Yeah,
read through it. Like I miss doing that because
yeah,
that was fun. I'm still a hard book. Like I like a physical book over a digital book, so I haven't given that up.
right.
But my nostalgia from technologies goes to those things rather than the business.
How many tattoos do you have? Do you have a count?
I lost count. So I have like a sleeve down past my elbow, and then I have a couple on my forearm. I have a forearm there, one on my chest, one on my back, on the ribs. I've joked. So all of my tattoos. So this will be interesting. So I have tattoos, with the exception of my tattoo on my back, which was my first one, which is an old Michael Jordan logo, not the Jumpman, but it's the basketball with wings. That was my first tattoo. Every other tattoo has to do with family. So on my arm, there is a Roman soldier and a lion kind of standing on this mountaintop. Roman and Leo are my two oldest boys. So that is for Roman soldier and Leo the lion, and they're there. I have some pocket watches that I don't know why I like watches, but I got those with their birth times on it. And then we had Silas. So I got it's kind of a scene that like light coming through the woods because Silas means of the woods. And then I have another watch with his time on it. I had a little slip. I guess this isn't family related, but still meaningful. There's a little space that was left that my tattoo artist came up with the idea of having like a bull versus a bear, but not the stereotypical Wall Street bull and bear. It's supposed to look like it's carved out of stone, but it's still kind of like the foundation of my career, which is for my family. And then I have a traditional tattoo that's a sparrow and an anchor for my wife. And the ones on my ribs are the boys' birth dates. So all of my tattoos have a tie back to family, or they're a meaning for me. Like I have a skull and an hourglass and a flower from a coin that Ryan Holiday made for Memento Mori, which means kind of like remember death, it's coming. So it's like, don't forget about living each day to its fullest. But I joke with my wife that my left arm is reserved for when we have grandkids. So when I have grandkids, I'm gonna get tattoos that are for all of them.
Yeah, I can't show you right now, but I have like these. My kids did these designs, so I put them on me, and the personal stuff is great. Obviously, I always forget, of course, that I have one on my back because when do you see it? Every now and then somebody goes like, "Wow!" Oh, right, that's right. I got a huge tattoo on my back.
Another fun thing along those lines. So in high school, it was cool to have your ears pierced.
Yeah.
So I have my ears pierced, and every so often I poke through the holes to make sure they never fully close up, just in case it becomes cool for me to be able to wear earrings again.
To wear them again.
Yeah.
Funny. All right. So we talked about music a little bit earlier on, and I want to wrap it up by talking about music as well. So first up, if there was a song, I know you're looking scared. If there's a song in your history that is something that you feel would define you, your ethos, what you're about, what would it be?
Oh man, on the top of my head, the song that pops to my mind, it's a newer song, so it's not my whole life, but I think it is where I am today. So J. Cole has a song that he had come out last couple of years called Middle Child. And there's a specific line in that song where he talks about being big bro and little bro at the same time. So before we recorded, we were talking about the profession and the older crew. And I view myself as young, but I'm also the bridge to the new. And I feel like that line encompasses where I'm at, that I can go talk to some of the leaders in our profession that have been there for 20 years, but then I can also hop on a Zoom with a 25-year-old just getting into the business, and I'm able to relate and be that bridge. So I would say right now it would be Middle Child by J. Cole.
All right, that's a good one. The other question is, what song would you like to turn people onto right now? What's in your playlist? What's new on your playlist?
Song, or can I go album?
Sure, go album.
Okay, so again, hip hop. So I'll give you a real quick background. I grew up listening mostly to West Coast. So Tupac, Dr. Dre, Snoop, like that, Warren G, like that was what I really loved. Then I got older, got more exposed to East Coast and love it all. But there is a group by the name of Griselda who've kind of been on the rise the last couple of years. But one of their members, Benny the Butcher, had an album come out last week, which I thought was phenomenal. And the very first song is called Burden of Proof. And the very first line I felt like for where I am and what I've been trying to accomplish spoke to me. It says, last year was about branding. This one's about expanding. And a lot of what I talk about with other financial advisors is telling your story, building a personal brand. And then once you get that kind of established, then you can expand. So I would say check out Benny the Butcher, Burden of Proof. I think it's a great album.
Right on, man. Well, if you want to hear any music that, I got to be honest with you, is not hip hop heavy, I've got a playlist up on Spotify. It's a Spark playlist. It's called Spark Radio. Hit it up and take a listen. And next time I see you, we'll compare musical notes.
Sounds good. I'll definitely check it out.
All right, Justin. Thanks again, man. Great to see you.
Thank you, Nick.